All right. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Melissa Vieira, and I am the Associate Director for Academic and Career Advising. That means that I'm a career advisor and also an academic advisor. So today we're going to kind of talk about two things: the academic advising piece of choosing a major and declaring your major, but then also how can you connect that to a career and be really intentional about the type of major.
I'll play after my thing.
Let's see. Okay, so how to declare a major, or how to choose a major and how to declare a major. So we're going to cover both. We're going to start with the declaring a major. So today I'm going to go through the steps. Again, we're going to send out this PowerPoint that has a bunch of hyperlinks, and so you'll have access to all of the things that I click on today. We're also having a drop-in event on Tuesday from 11 to 1 in the Clark Fishbowl. So if you go in the main entrance to the Clark, it's that kind of round room to the left. We're going to have pizza, and we'll have a bunch of printed out forms that you can fill out and, get advice and have help filling it out in real time. And so that's happening on Tuesday, next Tuesday. And then the second half of this presentation, we're just going to talk about how to choose your major. So if you're undecided, feel free to stick around and we will go through a couple different ways on how to select a major. Okay, so there's 5 steps in declaring your major. So if you've already picked your major and it's time to declare, and so the right time to declare is once you have 45 credits, and that's typically second semester sophomore year. That is when you will start to get notices that it is time for you to declare. If you are decided and you know exactly what you want to study, you can absolutely declare your major before then. And if you're not ready at 45 credits or at the second semester sophomore year, we typically can give you a little bit of a grace period. And so you could stay with your existing advisor a little bit longer while you're figuring things out. But it's like that 45 to 60 credits is about the right time for most students to declare. I will say that declaring means that you are advising with an advisor in your discipline, which is great, but it doesn't have to be permanent. So if you have to declare, you want to try something out, and then you realize you discover a new program or have this great class with this great professor, you can still change your major and you can still change your advisor. And so if you say you declare chemistry and you pick a particular advisor, but then you have a class with somebody else and you really love their personality and you feel like you connect and they're studying interesting things that you'd like to know more about, you can switch your advisor too after you've declared. So you have to declare a major in order to graduate. That is a graduation requirement. You must have a major. But if you want to just switch your advisor after you've declared, that's totally possible. And that one, you just need permission from the new advisor and you just need to notify our office. That is not something that you need to do another major declaration form. Okay, so the 5 steps for declaring your major. So first of all, let your current advisor know, I'm ready to declare, and they can kind of walk you through these steps as well. They expect it. You're not hurting anybody's feelings. It's totally fine. We all expect it that once you declare your major, you're going to be switching out from working with us. So that's 1. Number 2 is finding an advisor in your major. So I'm going to go into more depth in each of these steps too. So you need to find an advisor. And so the rule is that you have to have an advisor who teaches in the major that you're declaring. So you couldn't keep somebody from the academic and career advising office if you were declaring your major, because we aren't faculty in those departments, with one exception. Third, you choose your catalog year. So I'm going to tell you what that is and what it means and how to do it. And then there's an actual form you can fill out. So it's an online form. And so there's kind of 2 ways to do it. So you can print it out, we'll have the printed out copies on Tuesday, and you can write into it and get a signature on the piece of paper, or you can do it electronically. And then the last thing is you have to turn it in. So in order for us to process it, we have to have it. So you can either email the electronic form or drop off the major deck. So our office, Academic and Career Advising, is the office that gets major deck forms, and we are the ones that process it, and then we send it to the registrar's office, and then they process it as well. And so you also need permission from your new advisor, and that comes with the form when you turn it into us. Okay. So what do you need to declare? So I mentioned that you have to have a major. That is a graduation requirement. And so you have to choose a major. You only have to choose a major. You don't have to choose multiple majors. You don't have to choose minors. But those are all things that you can also declare on the major deck form. So majors required, minors aren't. So if you have more than one major, you'll have to have advisors in multiple majors. And there are certain minors also that require advisor consent, and it require you to meet with your advisor in the minor before you register as well. Concentrations are something that you can declare also on the major deck form. And so that's for things like environmental studies. There's a couple different concentrations for business administration. There's a few different concentrations. And so you would note what the concentration is on this major deck form also. And then there, as far as I know, there's only one specialization that you can also declare. The benefit of declaring it on the major deck form is then it gets tracked in Boxer Online, and you can really easily access it and see what you need to do to complete it. And that's the Global Scholars Program. So if you're interested in Global Scholars, I'm the Global Scholars Advisor, so you can just reach out to me with questions about that. But that's the only other thing that you would be declaring. Okay, so how to find an advisor. So I'm just going to go through these steps, and then I'm going to show you the steps. So I'll switch to a web browser and just walk you through exactly where everything is on the page too. Okay, so how to find an advisor. So first step, we have a list on the ACA page about declaring a major, and it says there's a long list of all the disciplines and which faculty members are able to advise inside that major. And sometimes there's a lot of minors too. Most of the minors don't require an advisor, but the ones that do, it'll tell you, and it'll also tell you who that advisor is. And then, okay, so you can look at the list. If there's a faculty member that you know, that you've worked with, that you've taken classes with, that's a great place to start because it's an easy ask. You've already had them in some context, know them, and so you can ask them to be your advisor. If you haven't had any classes from anybody who's an eligible advisor, which hopefully isn't the case for most of you, but you can look and see what their research interests are or what kind of classes they teach. And that might be a good way to get in with somebody who studies something similar to what you're interested in. And then you also have your current advisor as a resource. And so they know all the other advisors, all the faculty, and so they'll be really good at helping you decide who might be a good fit for you. And sometimes they know them on, a personal level as well. And so they can kind of tell if personality fits might be a good thing too. Another thing that the major deck form asks for is your catalog year. So every year, majors, minors, programs are getting added or changed. And so our catalog every year is the listing of what is current this year. So if you're a student in kinesiology, this is what you would study this year. So you have to pick out your catalog year. So it can be the year you started at Pacific or any year after. So later, you can't go back in time and pick a catalog year before you arrived at Pacific. You can look and see, there's a link on the slide to the catalog, and you can see what the differences are. So if you're a sophomore or a junior and needing to declare, you can look at all of the different catalog years for your major and decide which requirements fit best with what you want to do. So that's the catalog will list out in detail what are the degree and major requirements. And by choosing that catalog year, you're saying, okay, those are the requirements that I'm going to fulfill. This is what the major declaration form looks like. So this is like the last step is actually turning in the form. So what I'm going to do now is pop on. Can you, Heidi, can you still see my screen, my web browser?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. Okay, so if you start.
Also, sorry to interrupt. I put the major deck form in.
Link in the chat. Perfect. Mm-hmm. Perfect. All right. So if you're on the pacificu.edu page and you type in advising in the search bar, most of the time ours is the first that comes up. So the Academic and Career Advising Center is where you want to start the search. So once you're on this page, if you scroll down, you can see that there's a bullet point here declaring your major. So just click on that one. Here you can see, oh, this is what we're doing right now. And then this is what we're doing on Thursday. But you can also see those 5 steps listed. So this is where I wanted to show you first. So find an advisor in your major. So if you want to be an anthropology major, Erin Greer is your person. I want to show you a couple different examples. So applied theater minor is one that requires approval. And so it's listed here, and it's listed who exactly can be your advisor. There's a couple like that where you need advisor approval. But I want to show you, sorry, I hope I'm not making you too dizzy here. I want to show you psychology. So psychology has a little bit different process. We have a lot of psych majors, and so their process, instead of you picking, is that you speak to the psychology department chair if you don't have your psych advisor yet. And so you start with the chair, and they will tell you, oh, this person has some space in their advising load. And so they're just trying to make it a little bit more equitable across advisors. So that is what this page has, all sorts of information with all the different majors and minors, and you can see exactly who to contact. I will show you one other thing. So at the very top of the page, there's find people. And so say, I don't know what Jules Boykoff's email is. Probably could have just done Jules, but you can do a search there and come up with their email and then also their location. And so if you wanted to drop by, you could do that, but you could also just shoot them an email. But that's a nice, easy way to find contact information for the professor you want to talk to. Let's go back to the advising page. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to show you was the actual major declaration form. We'll just go through that together. So if you click there, it has a little bit more information about declaring majors and minors. When you download the form, you download it and save it as a file on your computer, fill it out, save it again, and then you can email it to us. Otherwise, you can print it and walk it around and get signatures. So the major and minor declaration form. So it's a box fillable PDF form that will hopefully load. This is the link I think that Heidi sent you all, but this is the important stuff. So first, we want to open it up. Whoops, let's see if I can, oh, it is opening, okay. Now it's on the wrong screen, sorry. All right. So the major and minor deck form. So this is the direction for submitting it. So if you're doing it electronically, you send it to advisingcenter@pacificu.edu. You put in your name, the date, your student ID number, your phone number, and then when you expect to graduate. So this would be summer, this is the typical spring graduation, this would be a winter graduation, and which year, and then type in your full name. So this is where you would type or print in the advisor that you're switching to inside your major. If it's a hard copy form that you're walking around, they would sign it here. Otherwise, it works to get an email permission from the advisor, your new advisor, saying, yeah, I'll take this student on as my new advisee. And then you just forward that email and attach this document to the advising center email address, and that's how we accept it. So here, is this the first time that you're declaring a major or minor? Yes or no? Then you want to add a major and you type in what the major looks like here. So here's that concentration line. So if it's environmental studies or business, you want to put in a concentration. If you're adding a minor, again, not required, but if you are, you can put that in here. And then you have to decide if you want a bachelor's of arts or a bachelor's of science. And so there are a few programs that can go both ways, but most of your degrees most of the majors are in one field or the other. So public health and psychology are the two examples that I can think of where you could do a BA or a BS. The other exception is if you do multiple majors, you can only get one degree. So if you have a chem major, if you're a chem and dance dual major, you have to decide, do you want your to be a BS or a BA? And so you can decide which one you want. It might depend on what you want to do afterwards with that degree, but that's how you want to do that. And then this is where you insert the catalog year. So if it's this year, it would be 2023-24. And then you can also change catalog years. Hopefully you've thought about it when you put it in. And so you don't need to, but you can for sure. And then this is for our work. So those are all the steps of filling out a major deck form. If you have questions, please go ahead and drop those in the chat. Because otherwise we are going to move on to the next part of the presentation, which is choosing a major. So if you were here just to learn how to declare a major, hopefully you have all the information you need. And please join us on Tuesday for the major deck drop-in event. We'll have pizza and we'll have all the information you need. But if you've got everything you need, you're free to jump off and do something else with the rest of your time. So, okay, there was one question in the chat about when to declare. So this is perfect timing to declare for talking to your new advisor this cycle. So it really does depend on when you register. So we probably need about some transition time between when you fill in your major deck, because it does take a little bit of time to process. You'd have to be able to set up a meeting with your advisor and get cleared to register. And so it gets a little tricky when you're getting close to your registration time. And so in some circumstances, it would be like meet with your current advisor, and then as soon as you're registered, go ahead and do the major deck. But your current advisor could advise you on whether or not you should wait and do it after you register or do it right away. Sooner sometimes is better. If you're a first-year student, you are not required to declare your major. Even if you came in with multiple credits, like if you're in that 45 credits, even though it's your first year, we'll give you a little grace period, but you might continue to get emails from us. So next semester, you'll get another email saying, hey, it's time to declare. And then you can just write back and be like, I'm not ready, or I talked to my advisor, but it really is up to you as well. Okay, let's see. If you don't declare by the due date, so the threat is that we'll freeze your registration, but as long as you have a plan to do it, most of the time that won't ever actually happen. And so I recommend doing it by your due date. The benefits of declaring your major and getting with an advisor in your major is that most of the time when students are supposed to be declaring your major, you're starting to take a lot of major focus classes. And so those advisors can help you find substitutions and help you like make sure that you're going to graduate with that major on time and give you lots of good information about it. So there are some good benefits of getting with an advisor in your major rather than a general advisor. But you can also wait until after the advising cycle. If you're registering within the next week or two, that would be totally fine too. All right, I am going to move on. The next piece that I want to cover, if we just go to the Advising Center, I'm going to now cover some information about resources on how to choose a major. And so if you're undecided, this might be for you. If you're decided to know what you're going to declare, you can go ahead and hop off. All right, so how to choose a major. There's three main strategies that I'm going to share with you today. And so the first one is thinking about what are you interested in? Let's see, this is probably, I don't need to share. I can just talk to you for a second. The first thing is really, what do you like? What do you want to study more of? What are you interested in? Or what are you really good at? Sometimes that's a really good place to start when you're choosing a major. So that's what I recommend. The second, I'm going to go more into detail for all of these and give you some tools too. The second one is thinking about what you're going to do next. And so if you're going to grad school, sometimes choosing a major that aligns with the prerequisites that you need for that program might be the smartest way to do it. You'd be able to do most of the prerequisites within your major, and that might help you finish faster and not be so stressed about doing different things as well. Same with job requirements. And so if you know what you want to do after you graduate and you know that they want somebody with a major in business management, that might be the thing to do, right? Get a degree in business management. And then the third thing is similar to the second one, but it's really starting by connecting majors to careers. So really diving deep into what can I do with this major after I graduate, or reverse engineering it. How can I get to this job with a major? So let's talk about interest and ability first. So the thing that I love about Pacific is that we have, I really love the core, and I know not everybody does, but I really do. And the reason I like it so much is because it gives us some breadth, right? So if you're undecided, it's a great thing to do because you really have a chance to try out a bunch of different things. And so make sure you're taking core classes that are super interesting to you. So one way to do that, we have a whole core advising sheet resource page. And so this is linked in the PowerPoint. So when you get that, you can see it. But if you scroll down, you can see all the cores here on the left, and then you can decide how you want to fill that. So let's look at sustainability, for example. This is one of the first things I do with my advisees is I look and see, okay, you need this core. Let's see if there's anything inside a major that you want to take. And so if you're trying to decide between multiple majors, you might go through and say, okay, well, I can take this in studio art. That might be a really good way to try that out as a possible major. Or I can take this class in education. So maybe that's a good way to try out an education class or environmental studies. It's a really good way to kind of try out something new is through your core, because even if you choose not to do that as a major, you're still making progress towards graduating by knocking off a core requirement. So that's one of the first places I like to start. You can think about what you're good at, what you really like. Here we go. This is the page that I wanted. Nope, that's not, this is it. Okay, so the other thing that you can do is look at, that's not it either, is look at our advising handbook. So the academic advising handbook is a really excellent resource, and it has every undergraduate program listed here. And so if you want to get a degree in biology, for instance, you can click on that and you can see what the requirements are. You can hear about some general requirements and timelines. You can see a lot of them have this like a example schedule. So take this your first year, take this your second year. They also have a list of courses, things that are required for the minor. There's some outcomes. You can learn about the faculty. This is a really good way to learn more about a potential major. And I think as you go through these lists, it's a really good idea to ask yourself, do I actually want to take all those classes? Do I think I'll be successful in all those classes? And sometimes that can be a really nice way to help you decide what is the right major for you. Okay, so that was the first strategy. The second strategy is to think about prerequisites. So let's back it up here. I think we'll go to the career planning. So I'm at Advising Center, and then we have career planning resources. And so actually, I'm going to go back to the academic handbook. So the other thing that I want to talk about is preparing for graduate programs. So at the bottom of the handbook, we have Pacific's pre-grad programs, plus a couple other ones like pre-med and pre-law in here that really can help you see what you might need to do to get that degree. So let's look at pre-law, for instance. So we don't have this program, but we do have some general information about pre-law coursework offered, ways to strengthen your application, and then related programs. These are some of the programs that students have done in the past and had success getting into law school. You can also see that they have some hints and tricks and tips for what type of classes and how to take them. Another great resource is a grad school's website. So if there's a particular program you want to go ahead and hop onto their website and do some research there. What classes do you need to take? And then you can kind of reverse engineer that to figure out what major that might look like here at Pacific. You can do the same thing with job requirements. So for instance, say you're set on working at Nike. If you type in something like Nike careers, and go to their careers page, you can do a search to see what might be a good major. Let's see if they want to load. Lots of times job descriptions will give you some parameters about like we're looking for people inside this major to do this program. So if we do Oregon, let's just say that we want to do sports marketing. And then, so that'll pull it up. So then if I look at the field rep manager position, there's a ton of good information here, but if you scroll down, it'll say the employer will accept these degrees. And so you can see that if this is the job that you want, this might be a good degree for you. One caveat is that if you have experience, sometimes that trumps whatever your degree's in. And also most degrees are really versatile. You can do a lot of different things. Heidi and I both have business degrees, and we're we're advisors, career advisors at a college. And so I think that not holding too much stake in, I need this degree to do this, because a lot of jobs are actually kind of flexible about that. The other thing you can do is look and see, okay, here's the list of skills that I need for this job. Are there any classes that I can take that would give me these skills? And so that sometimes can help you decide on which type of major you want to focus in as well. All right, so back to the career planning page. So we also have this tab that has career resources on it. And I just want to show you two in particular. One is this, the My Next Move Interest Profiler. It's put on by ONET, which is a repository of all sorts of employment data, but it's based on the Holland Codes, which is career development theory. But basically you go through and you can answer questions, strongly dislike to strongly like, about different skills and tasks and things like that. And then it will link it to job zones and then specific careers. And so if you just really have no idea where to start, this is a great way for you to kind of be in like, yeah, I really like this kind of thing. I wonder what kind of career I could have with that. Holland Codes ends up being, there's like 6 categories, and then you put 3 of those categories together to make your particular code, and then they map to a specific job zone and type of work. And then, since this is run by the employment department, it also has like job listings and employment outlook and other things like that. Like, this is a career field that's growing, and so you can see that, like, okay, in 4 years when I graduate, this might be a field that still is hiring, right? So that's a really good one that I highly recommend. Another one is this resource. It's called What Can I Do with This Major? So this is a resource that we pay for, but you can use for free. So let's do art, design, and performance. So if you want to do, let's pick graphic design. It has all of this great information. So these are some common job titles and career paths. These are some people who employ this type of major. Here's some strategies to be competitive. Some things that you can learn more about these different areas. There's getting started and advancing in this major, but this is some good stuff too. So professional association, lots of times you can look up and see what majors people have and what they're doing now. So what kind of jobs you can do with this major. There's Occupational Outlook, which tells you, is this job growing or shrinking? There's Related Resource, and then there's even job boards. And so that's a great one if you're trying to really map it onto a career, or really trying to determine what kind of career you could do with a particular major. Another thing that you can do is really dig into a job description. So we're back on that Nike job description, but you can go through line by line and figure out what are the components that make up this job, and then think about what kind of classes you could take or what kind of major might give you that experience. And then the final thing that I would recommend is talking to people. And so we call this career conversations. And so this is your chance to ask people in the real world doing real jobs what the job really is. What does this really look like? What's the work-life balance? How did you get into this? What kind of experience do you have? What was your major? And so this is a tool that is super useful all throughout your entire career, not just your time at Pacific, but you can start with faculty. You can start with staff on campus. You can start with your own network. But if you are interested in having career conversations, I would highly recommend coming into the Academic and Career Advising Center, because we are all trained in helping students discover their own career network in order to have these types of career conversations. And so we'd be really happy to guide you in your specific path into how to do that. And so let me just close with saying that I appreciate you coming today. We have that event on Tuesday that you're welcome to join and ask more questions. Our office, Academic and Career Advising Center, is always available to answer questions. And so you can reach us best through advising center at pacificu.edu. And I'm going to stop recording, and